This is part two of the series, Where Did West Virginia Football Miss in 2022? And we're looking at the defensive side of the football today. Before the 2022 season, West Virginia lost a lot of guys to the transfer portal. It's no secret. They replaced them with other guys. At what positions did West Virginia upgrade and where did they downgrade in 2022? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's dig into the numbers. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull that chair up and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football content. In this episode, we're looking at West Virginia's 2022 season, where they hit and where they missed in the transfer portal on the defensive side of the football. Right now, I'm going to share with you the PFF grades that I pulled from the 24/7 Sports site on the defensive side of the ball, comparing guys they brought in versus guys they missed. We got the Mike linebacker position, the defensive line position, and the defensive secondary that we're going to take a look at here in this video. So, without further ado, let's do it. Now, reminder, you can see in the row beside the player's name, I have the year that this PFF grade was recorded. For some, it's their 2021 PF grade when they played for West Virginia. Others, it's the 2022 grade where they might have played at their new stop, at their new school. First, let's look at the Mike linebacker position. We lost Josh Chandler-Sumito. He transferred to Colorado. Josh Chandler-Sumito was a very solid inside linebacker for West Virginia. Mike linebacker, played in the middle of the defense, was the leader of the defense. He had 110 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions in 2021. So like I said, very productive contributor to the West Virginia defense. He was out of position a lot, but he usually made up for it when he was in position because he was such a great tackler. And that's where he got his high marks with Pro Football Focus. And as you can see, his Pro Football Focus in 2021 was a score of 68, which is not bad. Now, and by the way, he had similar numbers at Colorado in 2022. He had just under 100 tackles and also had 3.5 sacks to go along with those tackles. Now, when you look at Lee Coba, the gentleman they brought in from the portal to replace Josh Chandler-Sumito, he was a JUCO transfer, had previously played before that at Syracuse. He had 92 tackles on the season and 3.5 sacks. Now, his PFF grade was a 57.2. Now, that looks much lower than Chandler-Sumito, and it is, but that is because his pass coverage grade was really, really low at 34.5. He really struggled in pass coverage, and it showed a lot in West Virginia. They gave up a lot of pass plays over the middle to running backs and to slot receivers and to tight ends, and a lot of that was due to Lee Coba struggling in pass coverage. Now, despite that low PFF grade, he actually graded out pretty well in run, stopping, and tackling. We did not downgrade at tackling and at stopping the run. The big downgrade was in pass coverage with Lee Coba. However, he's got another year to play for West Virginia, so I expect he will improve in the 2023 season and will play much better for the Mountaineers. So what grade would I give it? I'd give it a slight downgrade. I think we downgraded slightly when we went from Josh Chandler-Sumito to Lee Coba in the middle of the defense. Not a huge loss, but nonetheless a loss, especially in the passing game. Next position we will take a look at is the defensive line position. This is where we really suffered the biggest loss on the defensive side of the ball. Many could say the biggest loss overall on the team. And from an individual talent perspective, it probably was our biggest loss. We lost Akheem Mesidor. He was a freshman All-American in 2020 with the Mountaineers. He played really good in 2021 for the Mountaineers with 38 tackles and 4.5 sacks. Now, at Miami, he played a lot less snaps. Miami was the place he transferred to. We remember the controversial way in which he kind of left, just kind of out of the blue, unexpectedly. Coach Brown or the staff didn't see it coming. He made some remarks when he left that kind of left us raising our eyebrows about Morgantown not being safe. But he went to Miami, and he did get to play defensive end position and be an edge rusher off the end, which is what he wanted to do at West Virginia. But Coach Brown had him playing nose tackle. He did not want to play nose tackle because you can make a lot more money in the NFL playing a pass rusher than you can playing in the middle of the defense at a nose position. And he wanted to go somewhere where he could play the 5 or 7 technique and rush the passer. Well, that's what Miami did with him. Now, he played a lot less snaps at Miami, but he had a really high PFF grade of 87.1. So he played well at Miami. And you could say he played better at Miami. You could argue he played better at Miami than he even did at West Virginia, even though he played less snaps. Now, replacing Akheem Mesidor was Mike Lockhart, the nose tackle from Georgia Tech. Now, Mike Lockhart didn't play a whole lot of snaps, so it's not really an apples-to-apples comparison. Mesidor's snaps was taken up by Jordan Jefferson, Sean Martin, and, of course, we had Dante Stills, who would have been playing anyway. But when you look at these three gentlemen who were kind of sharing the load, so to speak, picking up the weight or the gap left behind by Mesidor's transfer, Jordan Jefferson's PFF grade was 67.4 at the nose tackle spot. Dante Stills at the defensive tackle spot was an 85.7, was actually the highest graded player on the defense for West Virginia. And then Sean Martin, not bad either, 72.1. He held his own, played really well, and there's great things to come from Martin in 2023, I expect. Coach Brown says he thinks Sean Martin will be an NFL draft pick and could be a very, very good player for the Mountaineers in 2023. That being said, this is a downgrade strictly because Akheem Mesidor was such a talented player. The next position we're going to take a look at is the cornerback position, the defensive secondary, or the first spot in the defensive secondary. We lost Nick Troy Fortune and Daryl Porter from the 2021 team. They combined for 71 tackles and 6 pass breakups in 2021, and then Daryl Porter had 1 interception to go along with that. Now, Porter was the second highest graded player on WVU's defense in 2021 behind Charles Woods. However, Porter played a lot more snaps than Charles Woods did. But at the end of the 2021 season, Porter decided to hit the portal, and he transferred also to Miami. He went to Miami, and he didn't play much. He got buried in the depth chart at Miami. And because of that, his performance suffered. His PFF grade at Miami was only 64.1 in 2022. And then Nick Troy Fortune's PFF grade at his next stop, UTSA, 73.6. So he had a really good year. Now, I understand it was in the non-Power 5 conference, but he was able to win a conference championship, played the most snaps he'd ever played in his career, and was an everyday starter for the Roadrunners at UTSA. So Nick Troy Fortune, the transfer probably worked out good for him. Not so much for the Mountaineers because the guys they brought in, Wesley McCormick and Rashad Ajayi, didn't work out as good. Wesley McCormick came over from James Madison, and Rashad Ajayi came over from Colorado State. They were both grad transfers with PFF grades of 54.2 and 54.7. So a downgrade at that corner position for West Virginia. Now, had Charles Woods not gotten injured, it wouldn't have been a big a deal because these guys wouldn't have had to play as many snaps. That being said, still their performance wasn't that good. Not near as good as what we saw out of Porter and Fortune in 2021. Now, statistically for West Virginia, McCormick and Rashad Ajayi combined for 43 tackles and 5 pass breakups. And they graded out as 2 of the worst 3 performers on the defensive side of the ball for the Mountaineers, according to Pro Football Focus. So it was definitely a downgrade at the cornerback spot. Next position, I'll call it safety, but it was kind of a versatile defensive back position. That's what the guys at earsports.com called it in their article, which, by the way, I'll link to in the description box. But they lost Jackie Matthews, who played he played pretty much everywhere in the defensive secondary for West Virginia 21. He played safety. He played corner at times. He played that spear position. And he graded out with a 63.7 PFF grade in 2021 for the Mountaineers. His statistics at West Virginia in 21, he had 44 tackles, a sack, 2 pass breakups, and an interception. His stats at Mississippi State in 2022, where he was also a starter, 43 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. So really close. You could say he had a slightly better year. He did have 1 more interception, 2 more pass breakups, but 1 last tackle. So you could say that Jackie Matthews' stats were pretty much the same at Mississippi State as they were the previous year at West Virginia. Now, even though his PFF grade at West Virginia was not that great in 2021, I really feel like his play was better than what his PFF grade showed, just going off the eye test and also going by the fact he was able to play multiple positions, was so versatile for the Mountaineers. And the guys they replaced him with, Jasir Cox and Marcus Floyd, combined did not have the same success as what Matthews had. As you see with their PFF grades, Jasir Cox had a PFF grade of 79.6. So he held up his end of the bargain. Marcus Floyd, not so much, 51.3. Floyd was the lowest graded defensive player for West Virginia in the 2022 season. Struggled a lot in pass coverage. Entire team. Combined, Cox and Floyd had 78 tackles, a half a sack, 7 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. And like I said, those stats don't look bad on the surface, but when you consider the fact the number of snaps that Floyd played and how low his grade was individually, he really brought those two down collectively. Cox kind of went back and forth throughout the season between Will and Spear. He actually had the third highest Pro Football Focus grade on the team in 2022. But most of that came at the end of the year. The last 4 games of the year, in every game he scored above a 70 in PFF grades. And during most of that time, they had moved him back to the Spear position. That's really where he excelled, was at Spear. Had they kept Jasir Cox at Spear the entire season, his numbers would have been even better. But he was sharing the spotlight or sharing snaps for most of the season with other guys. A lot of times at the Will spot, and he just was not really suited, I don't think, for that Will position. So overall, a slight downgrade here, only because Marcus Floyd struggled so much. Jasir Cox, had we had Jackie Matthews back for 2022, they could have had Jasir Cox at the Spear position. They could have had Jackie Matthews at safety. Really, it really would have helped that back end for West Virginia a lot in 2022. But that wasn't what we had. So, overall, a slight downgrade, you could say, at the linebacker spot, at the Mike linebacker spot, losing Josh Chandler-Samito and picking up Lee Koba. Downgrade at the defensive line spot, losing Akheem Mesidor, picking up Mike Lockhart, and then giving more snaps to Jordan Jefferson at the nose tackle spot. Now, Jordan Jefferson did not play bad at all, by the way. I want to make sure I mention that. He did not play bad, but he's just not as talented as Akheem Mesidor. Downgrade at the cornerback position on defense, losing Nick Troy Fortune and Darryl Porter, replacing them with Wesley McCormick and Rashad Ajayi, who had some struggles in pass coverage. And then a downgrade at the safety spot, losing Jackie Matthews and replacing him with Jasir Cox and Marcus Floyd. But that is only because of Floyd, not Cox. Cox actually played well for the Mountaineers in 2022. Now, let me know, Couz's Corner family, what do you think? Drop a comment. Let me know. Where did I go wrong in this analogy? And by the way, my opinion pretty much was on board with what the guys at 24/7 Sports had in their article too. But I want to hear your thoughts. Where did I get it wrong? Where did I get it right? Were there any players that I missed in this exercise? I want to hear your thoughts. I just thought it'd be good to put some numbers. I think we all knew that West Virginia had downgraded at most spots through the portal, but I think when you actually put numbers to it, it really, really brings it to light. So I want to hear your thoughts. I hope you like this. I spent a lot of time putting these numbers together. I hope you're able to glean something from it, and I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments section what you thought. Please support me financially here if you're able. You can check out my merch store by clicking the link in the description box or hitting a photo of one of my merch items below the comment section here. I've got beanies, hoodies for these cold winter days like it is here in West Virginia. I've got T-shirts, ball caps, mouse pads, coffee mugs, a lot of different items to choose from in my merch store. So go, please check it out if you can. Please join Couz's Corner, become a member of the channel by hitting the join button below. Take advantage of the perks I have to offer. You can hit the heart thanks option right below. Leave a one-time donation along with a comment. Also have a link to Fanatics in the description box. Go click that link. Go to the Fanatics website. Make any purchase. You don't have to purchase the item that comes up when you click the link. All that does is get you into the site. Get into the site. You can search for the item you need. Make a purchase. I'll get credit for that purchase, and you can get some of your shopping out of the way as well. Last but not least, if you want to support me absolutely free, you can do it in 4 ways. You can like the video, share it with your friends, drop that comment, and subscribe to my channel, please. Help me get to 5,000 subs. With all that being said, I appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Couz's Corner. And until the next one, Q Country Roads. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.